Is there one for Brittany? I didn't download.
He's been turning on.
I didn't see. I see him. You ready to go? It just in the last.
Calling this meeting to order. This is a study session for council members for our city financials. And there's no motions tonight, but a lot of information. I'd like everybody to rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good. So I see mostly all frequent flyers out there, so I don't have to explain too much. We are number 3. Let's go to the roll call. Kayla, it's all yours.
Janetti. Krenz.
Here.
Morosky Brown.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Turnbull.
Great. We have a full complement here tonight. I'm going to number 4, the approval of the agenda. We only have one thing on the agenda. We'll talk about public comment in a second, but one thing on the agenda, I'm looking for the approval of the agenda that you have in front of you. Do I have that from the floor here?
So moved.
We have support? Support. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Great. We have an agenda.
I didn't.
So tonight we have one item on the whole agenda that is reviewing our financials for the year. And there's no motion here tonight. This is usually a big study session, but it's a public study session. We're meeting with, in regards to the Open Meetings Act and policies and procedures from the governor and under Robert's rules. But this should be a pretty straightforward meeting tonight. I'm changing it up a little bit. I don't think we're going to have too much comment, but if anybody in the audience or online wants to make a comment before we get to this one subject, instead of waiting to the end, I'm opening it up. At this point, why don't you say who's ever online how to raise their hand, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anyone is watching online and you'd like to make public comment, we ask that you call into the comment number. That number is listed on the agenda. You can find it on the Northville website. Once you call into the number, we will let you into the meeting and then you can make your public comment.
Great. Thank you very much, Ken. Anybody in council chambers have any comments? Seeing none, I'm closing off public comment here. Is there any hand raisers? I tried to do that to give them a few more seconds online. Is there any hand raisers online right now?
None at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Great. So I'm closing off public comment. I will open it up again at the end of this one subject, but I wanted to make sure if somebody wanted to get their opinions forward before we started tonight. So great. So I'm closing off public comment. Number 5, written communications. Do we have any extra ones today?
No, I just verified there were no
Great.
written comments.
Outstanding. Well, not outstanding. We have so many usually, but great. Number 6, presentations. This is the budget presentation. We have done, I guess this is my 7th year. Barbara and I have seen this quite a few times over the years. We have streamlined some. Looking forward to all this. Looking forward to turning off my phone too. Duly noted, presently accepted. So tonight I will toss it over to our city manager, and between George and Sandy and each and every one of you, we are looking to be edification of all these numbers. We've looked through this. I actually was out of town. I flipped through the whole thing. I think Sandy saw me looking through all the tops of each chapter today. So Sandy, you can verify. I actually looked at it again today. So everybody had their book. It's online. But with that, yeah, she was very surprised that I had some questions for her too. Duly noted. So it's all yours, George. Thank you.
Okay. Well, good evening, council. We're pleased to be able to present in this work session for our fiscal year 2027 budget. I am a little surprised. I expected a full house tonight, so no. Little joke there. For Sandy and I, this is very exciting stuff. So this is like the highlight of the year. It's like the Super Bowl for us. But seriously, this is one of my most important obligations as city manager. One of Sandy's most important jobs as finance director is the preparation of the budget and the recommendation of the budget.
Sure.
And of course, for council, probably your most important single function is the approval of a budget. That's not tonight. That comes after a public hearing, and that is on May 18th. When we'll have the public hearing and then council approval of the budget. But this is where you assign all of the dollars of government and set your priorities through where you're spending your money in terms of here. The budget serves as a communication document, a planning document, and it really sets your priorities. So we're very excited to be able to present that to you this evening. So I'm going to walk through some general overview stuff, and Sandy will assist with some couple of slides, sort of a general context of the budget. And then we're going to have the department heads pop up each in turn and give a little overview of their department, sort of the numbers, the operation. And then what we think would be a good opportunity would be maybe at the end of each section, after the department head presents their item, they'll stay up there and answer questions for their department. And of course, if they can't answer it, or Sandy and I can't, then we'll get back to you. We'll write it down, get back to you, and share the answers with council after this meeting. So we'll go through that way, and at the end, we'll certainly have a chance for more questions. And this is the work session, so if there's anything that council wants to see differently, this would be the time to give us that direction so we can make those adjustments and changes to bring you the budget that is hopefully going to be approved on May 18th. So with that, we will jump right into the first slide.
And we thank
also
you for
have
these
technology.
clear, screens. Before, we usually kind of look and I hardly can see the bottom, but this is high intensity and high definition. And Sandy is dying to put a big screen up here that is on order. She'll have that tomorrow here, but in the next couple of weeks, we'll have one more screen in the front, correct? She was dying to do that. She came down and said, please, could we spend some more money and do that? Is that correct, Sandy? Yes. So, yes. So we will have another screen up here for everybody in the audience. The two are there. And I'm telling you, I think I can see it. I know from my standpoint,
When we get to some
I
of
can
those-
never see the little, well, I haven't got to the little numbers yet.
When we get to those little numbers, you can actually see them instead of just a blur.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. I didn't mean to slow you down. Continue.
No problem. So obviously, council knows our strategic priorities is how city council really directs the overall improvements and operation and special projects of the city. We already had that discussion back in January, I believe, for the next year. And all the things that were discussed in the priorities have been incorporated into the budget. So this should be reflective of that.
Right.
Next one. Is that you?
Keep pushing him. He'll slow it down. Al, are you almost ready to take over? Go ahead.
So there we go. All right. So this really is, I think, first of all, overall, if you've had a chance, and I'm sure you have, to review the budget, you know that it is a very good news budget in terms of our overall financial position. And as we've talked about quite a bit, pension and retiree healthcare, so-called legacy costs, are a major burden to local governments across Michigan. And the city of Northville, for a number of reasons, from council support to staff's work over years, has put us in a very enviable position. And this slide shows that. This work started really back in late 1990s, early 2000s, when the city made decisions to move away from a traditional pension plan and traditional health insurance, retiree health insurance, and move to a more defined contribution style. And those were the first decisions that got us on the right track. And since then, there's been a lot of work in terms of setting additional funding aside, and that's been obviously supported by council. Sandy and I saw the number when we moved the money into the pension fund just in December out of this reserve fund. That money totaled about $10 million. That was the additional payments plus interest for about 7 years of payments, 8 years of payments. I think it's somewhere from 2017, 2018, making additional payments. So a tremendous effort. So what these represent are funding percentages for retiree healthcare and for pension. And both of them are well above 100%. You'll see that the red line is retiree healthcare. It has this blip that I want to explain. Almost 160, it drops down to 129 and then back up to 156. What happened there was the city had switched to Humana Medicare Advantage program in 2023, which is a very good program. It's a cost controlling program, but we switched away from them in 2024 because the network had changed due to a contractual dispute with a provider that a number of our people use. So we switched away from them. Hence, higher premiums means that the money will not last as long, which is why that dropped. We will switch back to Humana because they resolved their issue, and now the money, the funding ratio popped back up. So really, the only change was that the premium was a better, more advantageous premium, then a higher premium, then back to a better premium for us. So we are, but it also shows that being 160% funded allows you to weather storms in terms of retiree healthcare. And I think that money represents, was it about $10 million of reserves? in retiree health.
Retiree health asset, yeah.
Yeah, so then we have the pension, which is the big news for us. Going from 116, we estimate that we'll be around well into 120% funded when we get our next report in June. And that actually is what results in this residual savings for us to be able to do other things like roads. So overall, great news for the city. Lots of people done a lot of work on that. Go
Excellent.
ahead and switch. This is the overall taxable value of the city. And I think this is also a very good news thing for us. The city of Northville, we have a assessed value of about $860 million. So that's taking the overall assessed value of the city in its entirety. What you can see here is strong growth. And the strong growth is because we've got a desirable place that people want to live. So you've got a place people want to live. The homes go up in value, they redevelop, they do new development, and all of that contributes to your tax base. Now, the difference here is the assessed value and the taxable value. The taxable value came into being under Headley, where there's this sort of discount, if you will, the longer you stay in properties. So essentially, our value of the city is about 860 million, but our residents are paying taxes based on, and this is really challenging, and I think I can see that it is 618
Yes.
million.
In small
In
print.
small print, very small print, and it actually still works, but that's probably a little too small for us. So that is the difference between the discount essentially that Headley provides to people. But overall, it shows strong property tax growth. And this is important because it is our biggest source of revenue. So go ahead.
Great.
Here we'll see our proposed millage rates. The city of Northville as a home rule city can levy up to 20 mills. The city has made this election supported by the voters to take and separate out a certain portion of that overall mills for, we call it SDSI, these sidewalks, drains, streets, infrastructure.
Street drainage and sidewalk.
Sidewalk improvements. And that's what 1.92 mills set aside for that. That leaves 18.08 mills for general operations. Those have both been reduced over time by Headley reductions. So if your increase in taxes was going to increase over the rate of inflation, you get this factor rollback, which rolls back the overall millage. And it really is designed to stop a windfall of taxes in terms of the local government. Not that we would mind that, but that's the policy decision set in terms of when Headley came into being. So you can see the reduction factor, 0.9957 times the 12.67 mills. We're going down to 12.62 mills for general operation. And then you can see, I won't read all the numbers for you, but property taxes generated 7 million, and then the streets and sidewalks and street bond millage. So we can levy a total of 14.8 mills, and that's our Headley cap, and that's what we're proposing in the budget. Did you have a question?
Yeah, very minor. So, and Headley and everything is complicated. You know, there's a lot of work that has to go into getting what's in there for, you know, updating it each year. But how, help us with the math, because there's not a simple addition to, there is a within that calculation that gets to us to the 12.62 and the 1574. But I believe it's based on what's above, but it's not.
So, yeah, what you do is take the starting millage rate of the 12.6788 and multiply it times that factor of 0.9957. There's a whole calculation that goes into calculating that as well.
Okay.
So just
So it's just,
multiplying
so
that
it's,
too.
12.678 is just your prior year
Correct.
number of mills that were
Yeah,
applied.
correct,
Times
yeah.
the factor, so it's that 0.43% decrease.
Yep.
In applied mills.
Correct.
And essentially it tries to get your overall property tax, what you would levy under the rate, equal to the rate of inflation. So if your growth is better than the rate of inflation, they bring you back to the rate of inflation. So they lower the amount of mills that you can levy to get you to that point. Is that a good explanation of it? It's kind of confusing.
The taxable, correct me if I'm wrong, the taxable value is actually assessed at either it's capped at 5% or inflation, correct? Is the max.
The
that
lesser of.
it
The
creates.
lesser of.
Which creates that separation between
Exactly.
the actual value and then the taxable.
And that was that first line we showed you where you see the difference and it's kind of spreading, which means we have people who are staying in their properties, which is good, but they're realizing a savings because their taxes are not growing as fast as they would grow.
So another way to put that, if I'm not mistaken, is when the tax bills go out in July, they're going to be higher, not because of the operating mills that we work to, but because of the valuation of the house from SEV, right?
Yep, we are actually going to be levying slightly fewer mills, still up to our Headley cap, but it's just the value of the property is up.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't changed, if you're still in the home, I think the state inflation was 2.7% for the state of Michigan. So your assessed value would go up 2.7%, and then that lower number of bills would be applied to it. I'm just seeing if Sandy's gonna call me out, so I'm gonna pause.
That's right.
We've just done,
Technically, the taxable value, not the assessed value.
Fair, good point.
Yep.
I knew it.
well, we did a better job of that
Yeah.
than usual, so we're good.
He opened himself
All right.
up.
I did.
Thank you.
If we
And this is a challenge for cities because it can drop precipitously
Yep.
in bad economic times and then it's got to rise. slowly.
It can, exactly, property values can fall, but they go back up slowly. They can
Yeah,
fall quickly.
versus they can only go up slowly, but they can fall
After
quickly.
2008, 2009,
Yeah, it was
lots of
really
cities we're still having rebounds in property values. So the other thing that's challenging about that is you can have a situation due to the spread in them where property values fall, but the taxable value is so much further than the assessed value where the price can fall, but your taxes are still going up. And that actually gets people a little bit upset, but it's because there's this big gap between the two numbers. So, okay, I think we've exhausted all we need to talk about heavily at this point.
Go on.
Unless council has any more questions, we're
Nope, you're
good.
good.
I thought that was fun.
It was.
This is,
All right. Did you say we're nerds? All right. All right. So the city of Northville, like local governments, we are the collector of local taxes, which means I think people think that they're giving all of their tax money to us. And this is a useful slide because it shows that the city is the recipient of about just over a third of the property taxes stay with us. The rest goes to the county and then to education and schools and libraries. So we keep about 37 cents on the dollar and we send the rest on to these other entities for them to utilize. So I think that's a useful slide for people to know when to send their tax bill to us. Okay, go ahead. Capital improvements, you want to touch on that?
Sure. So also included in the budget document is the capital improvement plan. We did review that in a lot more detail back at our meeting in January. A 6-year plan is required, even though our budget is on a 5-year basis. It is subject to the Planning Enabling Act of 2008. Some communities, the Planning Commission will approve it, but here the Planning Commission has delegated that task back to council to approve. So while it is a separate document, while it is included in the budget, it is actually a separate document that we'll be asking you to approve in May as well. So over the 6 years, this is just kind of a breakdown of the capital expenses for that 6-year plan by category. And obviously you can see there's a $5.5 million in water and sewer improvements, 2.9 in street improvements, among some other things. So a total of, I think it's about $60 million, I think.
yeah, but these numbers don't add up to the page 8.
This is, I think there might be an issue with the numbers on there. I'll have to double check that.
But
That's not a 6-year total.
right, but the numbers on page 8, where you put it in a bar chart, those do match what's in
Yeah.
the budget. They match, so.
You're saying at page 8 in the capital and
Yeah, so
Budgets.
These look more like 1-year
These
cost,
numbers.
not 6-year cost. This is the
yeah,
1.
this adds up to just over 12 million.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the current, that's a
But if you
27.
look to the next page, it aligns with what
Yeah.
in the detailed document.
It just has the wrong header on it.
Yeah.
It's a 1 year. And then the next is just the expenditures by fiscal year. Obviously, we're doing a lot of projects. That first year is the current fiscal year we're in. It slowly decreases over time. Once you get to the outer years, 20, 30, 31, a lot of the main projects that we have planned are based upon capital equipment purchases, like in the police and fire and public works areas, and not as many discretionary projects.
And you would expect as we get out into further years that there would be more projects, but they just haven't been identified
Yeah.
yet. So these are just sort of the known projects. And as we get further out, as Sandy said, there's just not as many known projects. But I think it's obviously useful for planning.
Yeah, I doubt that FY 26 looked like that 6 years ago.
It didn't.
Let's click it forward. So this is part of our emphasis when we talked about the savings from the pension fund is being able to focus more on road construction. So we tried to pull this all together in terms of the funding sources and all the different road projects. And I think the thing here is we showed council a couple of weeks ago phases, phase 1, phase 2, and we said we were going to try to commit to speeding up the phases. After looking at it more closely, Public Works Mike and the engineering firms said that perhaps they really can't do both phase 1 and phase 2 this season, but they did add Taft Road into it. And it really is just a function of being able to deliver the projects and keep people moving around their neighborhoods. So this is a lot of street projects to do in 1 year. You can see the top list is the reconstruction projects. You'd expect that those are water, primarily water and sewer underneath underground infrastructure reconstruction. And then the bottom ones are the ones we're doing as a part of this overlay program. So I would expect that we're going to be speeding those up as quickly as possible and doing basically as much as we can do. I think the good news here is we see additional money. We see additional money from two sources. Act 51, the state is putting more money into roads for us, which is good. And they're calling it something else. They're calling
Neighborhood road funds.
neighborhood road funds is their new bucket that they're putting aside.
Right.
And we're also putting the 500,000, it says 800 here. We are expecting to pay at least 500. We have 300 sitting in contingency if it's needed. So a big commitment from the general fund in terms of resources. Our goal is to spend Act 51 money first because we don't want to build up large reserves there and deplete our general fund reserves. We'd rather use the specific road money first and then use general fund money. So
Are the neighborhood road funds included within those funding sources?
yes.
Yeah,
That's within the Act 51 or is that in a
it
different?
is separate right now. It's just it's included in the Act
Okay,
51.
but that is the total
On that.
Yeah, there's still a lot more information to come out from the state.
But for clarification, what you see in the preliminary information you get, the way Act 51 was structured is it was local, but within that it was local roads, made local streets and major streets. Are they still doing that same thing in the
Yes, breaking it
new?
up, breaking it up by major.
They still are doing
They are.
that. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what it appears. It's still, they don't
Yeah.
have their guidance yet.
So they just put another name on it that they can, yeah, I did this. Yeah, okay.
So overall, that completes over a mile of roads and almost $2.6 million of investment from all sources. So,
Good. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, George.
so it's a very significant investment in roads, and I think people will see the difference.
Two questions and maybe just connect the dots. That general fund is what we'll call the pension dividend, with that being paid off. So
Yep.
people who aren't into the line items might understand that. So though you could squint and say that's about 1/3 of what you're seeing there is coming from this new dividend. So people can put some context to it, even though a bunch of that's in contingency. So you could say 1/5 to 1/3 is going to be, the tailwind on getting these projects done. And then on the major roads that are going to be in the top group there, when are you going to start communicating to those streets about projects getting started? I assume that's going to be sooner than later.
So we would expect, I think on any reconstruction, we're going to be having a pre-construction meetings for the neighborhoods where we would have kickoff meetings, right? Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, and sooner than later, as people plan graduation parties and think, when those things hit their neighborhood may determine some summertime events in their neighborhood.
Yes, as soon as possible would be great.
Yeah. Just one question on the Act 51, and I just do not recall. What does the 299,000, how does that compare to our Act 51 last year?
So that is not the total of Act 51. That is the portion we're putting into street overlays and reconstructions. The overall Act 51 is quite a bit higher, but a lot of that money goes towards street maintenance, plowing, crack sealing, street cleaning. Is that a fair?
Smaller, but
Potholes, tree trimming, potholes.
smaller but important items.
Yeah, so it's small but important, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So-
So what, but do you know what was our,
Right.
I'm going to call it Act 51, even now it's got a different name. How did the bucket of money we're getting total, how did that compare
So in,
this year to last year?
Act 51 revenue is typically around $800,000 a year between major and local. The new funding, it looks like the estimate for the neighborhood road funds will be in year one, about an extra 250, 260,000.
That's quite a bit.
About $1 million plus,
Okay,
right?
thanks. That was, just wanted a perspective.
Switch ahead and see what we got.
Sure. So this is just a listing of all the fiscal year 27 capital projects totaling $12.3 million. You can see there's all, equipment in there, a lot of water and road improvements, some miscellaneous park projects, doing the Center Street culvert portion of that. So a lot of good projects.
So here we get to the overall budget for the city. I think just want to take a moment to explain this overall value. So you see 33,033,700 is the overall value of the budget. In the lower right-hand corner, I have this note saying excluding operating transfers. So what this is because we move money to different funds, you double count money. So if you want to think about the overall budget says 33.7 million, but if you back out interfund transfers, the true value of the budget you'd be approving is about $26 million of spending,
Net.
obviously a significant amount. Obviously, you can also see of note, the general fund, your most significant fund, it's the most important fund, it's the largest fund, it's where you have the most discretion. And then also significant is the water capital fund, just because this year we happen to, and then for the next year, we happen to be doing a lot of water projects. So that's kind of outsized as well. Aside from that, it just gives you perspective of where you're spending that 26 million or $33 million over the next year.
Right.
Now focusing on the general fund, 10.5 million. As I mentioned, this is your most, where the council has the most discretion to provide the services. This is revenues. Again, we talked about the fact that property taxes, just about 70% of your overall revenues come from property taxes. I think something of interest to note here, sales and services, a little bit ambiguous. We don't really sell anything, but what that is that is the service we provide to the city of Plymouth and then paying for fire services. So about $1 million of that is contracted payment for fire service. So a little bit unusual for a city to have that kind of a makeup of revenue. State shared revenue, not a very big portion at $750,000. I think this is kind of a good news, but a bit of a caution. The good news is we have a very strong property tax base, and that gives us a lot of our own control over our revenue. If you have cities that are much more reliant on state shared revenue, they could reduce it. They've changed it. They've reduced it in the past, and we're not that reliant on that. So that's good news. Of course, the danger is if you have a crash in the economy and housing market falls, we're a bit insulated to that, but it still is, we're relying significantly on property taxes. So good and bad, but I think for us, it's more good than not because it's a very stable source of revenue for us. So overall, $10.5 million of revenue into the general fund.
Right. And in general, just going back half a notch, as I look at this, and I know I sit down with Sandy and you too, we're about a $30 million organization, business, municipality. I know $26 million, but we transfer things back and forth. Our income level is coming from $810 million worth of taxation on the homes. We're going to go over $1 billion sometime. And we're moving from a $30 million organization, which we spend every dollar, so it's not like we have any dollars out there left, to probably a $35 to $38 million organization that will go from an $810 million to $1 billion plus. That will help us because the taxation will be at that value. Where us that have owned homes for a while, we're not paying as much as we probably should in the future. But yeah, that is taxation, $1 billion organization area that we have taxations from that. Headley restricts us, but we're really a business, A lot of us are business people. We're a $30 million business, that we're trying to spend just a little bit less than $30 million.
Yep, we're going to see over the next couple of years that taxable value is going to increase pretty dramatically because of the downs coming online. You can And then obviously the revenue won't come for a little bit because it's being reinvested in the project.
Absolutely. 30.
But some of the younger ones here will be able to realize.
They will experience the opportunity.
Additional money, and
While Barbara and I will be rocking someplace, they will be
a
rocking.
number of
the
us
city.
might be somewhere else. A decade from now, this will be an even easier job than it is
I
right
don't
now.
rock.
I probably will someday with those grandkids. Good.
Swivel, yeah,
Yeah,
not
well,
rock.
So overall, general fund expenditures, $10.1 million. Significantly here, what you notice is not uncommon for city governments is that police and fire is about 50% together of the operation of the general fund. It's just costly in terms of 24/7 protection. It's lots of people, it's people intensive, and those positions are pretty significant in terms of their cost. More so for police because they're a full-time department. Also important is fire department looks kind of bigger than it is because that includes an offsetting payment from the city of
Right.
Plymouth. So we have a 1.5 something million dollar fire department, of which the city of Plymouth covers about $1 million of that. So
Great.
an important note there. Also, just to note, you see things like Public Works here. Public Works is only, that looks tiny. Public Works is our biggest department by far, but it is broken up into different funds. So you see this here. This is the general fund portion of Public Works. That includes the administration's time, so some of Mike's time and Gloria's time. It includes like street lighting. It includes parks maintenance and things that are more tree trimming, perhaps. What other things would be? Cemetery. And then, so when you think about things like that, think that this is the general fund portion of a big department. The rest of the department sits out in separate funds like major and local streets, water, sewer, solid waste. Anything else to note here? I would say, no, I think that pretty much covers it unless council has any. Oh, one thing I want to mention is you can see that we're going to end this year, we believe, at about a 25% fund balance, about 2.5 million. We're projected to add, with this budget, 366,000 at the end of next year, which would get us to about 28% fund balance. I would expect typically we end the year better than expected. So this year we'll probably end the year and be better than 25%, which means next year would be better than 28%. So I always kind of see this as kind of a worst case scenario, barring anything unforeseen. So in a good position, strong fund balance and building it. You'll also note that we have the unallocated reserves, the 450,000. May look like a lot of money, but 300, as you recall, is set aside for roads. I don't think we're going to use it for roads, but we're having it there as well. But there's other infrastructure projects that we may need to commit that to. Overall, gives us good flexibility, does a lot of road projects, does a lot of capital projects, and keeps us in a good
Can you
position.
share what our target is for general fund balance, what we consider good?
So I think we want to stay above 25%, definitely. I think that when you get to 30, 35%, you look at opportunities to spend it on things you need. And that's what we did with we were at 35% and we moved the money over to the DDA to do their road project, to do their downtown project as a loan. So
On that, what is your basis for the benchmark of 25? Because in working on that, say in the schools, well, I worked on that before, in fact, had a recent update on that, or it's, usually it's closer to 20.
Yep.
So I don't know how that.
So it depends on the size of the operation. So my last place was a much bigger city and they would run about 10% fund balance. It was about, it was about 2 months of operation, but it was a much bigger number. So you had more discretion. Here, we think about it, it's a smaller city. So if something were to happen, a tornado blows through and you have to do emergency operations and come up with a new city hall. I think that having a $2.5 million is a reasonable amount.
So it's proportionate to the size as a
Absolutely.
rainy
From my
day or a
perspective,
tornado.
absolutely.
Okay. That
Would
was,
it
that's
also be
helpful.
proportional to where your revenue comes from? So since we're highly dependent on property tax, we need to have a little more of that buffer there because.
And I also think
what
it
you're
also
talking
relates to the timing. I mean, this is more of a cash flow, but townships usually have a much larger fund balance, but they have a different timing in terms of revenue, right?
Correct.
And we don't. I mean, we get our money in the beginning of the year, so the money's all comes into us. So I think that also I had the conversation with our auditor before we made the loan to the DDA to ask that question of what would they consider a strong fund balance for our organization, because I didn't want to drop below that with the loan. And he said, 25% is easily a good number for our organization in terms of where we'd expect to be.
Well, if we decide that we want to, like, stick to the 25%, we have
Yeah.
plenty of unfunded things, so. it won't be
And,
a-
if we had an emergency and had to spend that below 25%, you could certainly do that and it would not put the city in jeopardy. We have other funds that have other reserves. So, but I think it's a good number to maintain.
Okay.
We also want to keep a balance that if we did have to go out and acquire debt once again, that we'd maintain our AAA bond rating as well. So I know it's not a hard fast, but we had set a target at 30 when we originally were going for that. So I think staying in that 25 to 30 range is just a good
idea.
Yeah, and we do
good
have,
idea long term.
yeah, we do have a fund balance policy of 17% as a minimum.
Minimum.
Very.
Oh, that's good to have the floor.
Yeah.
I had, we went, because it's good to speak about revenue and expenditure. I had a small question on the revenue, which was the prior slide. This was the expenditure.
Yep.
The grants and other local services, just things that have come across our desk, are here that seem low. Is there,
In the.
I know, and it's bird in the hand versus what's could be out there.
Yeah.
Right? But it just seemed low.
Most of the grant revenue is recorded in other funds, primarily the public
Oh.
improvement funds and. some
So
of
it
the street
doesn't go
funds.
into this fund, so that doesn't mean it's not, it is much higher than that.
Correct.
But it's
Correct.
just,
Yeah, this is smaller grants like we get from MMRMA to cover certain
account-
smaller.
yeah,
Bigger one.
yeah.
Mhm.
So they're just so,
Level.
people look at, well, you only got 20,000 grants. Well,
Right.
no, not quite.
In
Right.
totality, wasn't it 4.6 last year? Did I see that?
In the general,
In grants received overall.
I don't know that figure off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
Thought I saw that when I was reading. If anybody knows, let me know. Skip ahead a couple.
That was it for me.
So now we're going to switch over to the departments and we'll just kick off with my operation because I'm the one sitting here. So city manager's office, obviously the city manager is a chief administrative officer of the city. I oversee the daily operations of city government, supervise the departments, and my role is working for city council and implementing your goals and directions and policies. The city manager's office also supports the overall city council. We handle communications. Under my budget, you'll see city manager, city council communications, and city attorney. Those are separate budgets, but I'm listed as the staff responsible because I'm the one here and I work for you. So those are areas that are not exactly under my operation, but they are just sort of for efficiency included on the slide. The city manager does our job with about almost 4 FTE. The communications manager is a full-time position, but a quarter of that position is paid for and shows up in the DDA because the DDA funds a portion of the position. So we fund 3/4 of it. The DDA funds a quarter. That was that new thing we did about a year ago in terms of consolidating a contract and a part-time position and making it a full-time position, which I think has worked out splendidly. I'm happy to have Courtney here. And personnel costs, 68% of the overall general fund. So with that, council have any questions about the city manager's department?
Good.
Okay.
Any council members?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
All right.
let's move on.
All right, next is the finance, tax assessing and technology departments. In finance, obviously, it's all the budgeting, auditing, accounting functions such as accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll. We assist the city manager's department with HR. Tax is sending out the tax bills, collecting for them, dispersing them to the taxing jurisdictions. We do contract out assessing services. They are here 1.5 days a week. And technology, I do have oversight of the technology, but it's primarily handled by Northville Township staff. That relationship seems to be working out really well. In terms of employee, just under 4 staff members. We do have 1 part-time financial analyst position. And then the personnel costs are approximately 61% of the department. Any questions?
I'm good.
I-
Anybody on council?
I just have one policy. It's been a while since I said this because there's no support for it, but our policy is when we collect taxes, we have an administrative fee tacked on it. It's 1%.
Correct.
And I would really, and it was, well, we can't afford to not have that. Well, I really think we need to move towards a slow decline to bring that down. I mean, I'd like to see it eliminated completely. It's painful to say, pay your tax and, oh, I'm going to charge you for paying your taxes. And other municipalities, and it's not an uncommon thing. I understand that. Other municipalities have worked away from that. If we simply had a goal of thinking about it for near future, not this budget, but working towards weaning ourselves off of that full 1%. Anyway, that's just my position on the 1% administrative fee. It adds up to a lot of money.
It's about, I think, 275,000.
Yeah.
The intent is to cover the cost of the tax and assessing departments.
Yeah, and I just,
Costs.
yeah.
So the next thing I want to mention is as we're presenting these, we're going to try to highlight, in addition to the overall operation and budget, try to highlight things that are different. So what are the exceptions, what's changing, what's different? So if there's something different in staffing, something different in equipment, that type of thing, we've raised that issues in the department budget so you can see those things. Because I think that's probably the most useful and interesting as you're going through the budget is to see, have we added positions? Have we changed how we're staffing something? Are we doing something different? So it can draw your attention to that. So as we go through the presentations, we'll have them mention that as well.
And I'll say one thing to note throughout many departments, you will see a decrease from the prior year, and that's because of the savings from the extra contributions from the unfunded pension.
Oh, okay.
So
So, yeah, the pension was allocated to all the different departments as well as a personnel cost. So when you take it back out, all the departments had a little reduction in overall cost. And that led to that at the general fund level, the plus $1 million by the time you spread it across all the departments. So with that, we will switch over to City Clerk's office, also right here.
So the city clerk's office handles various functions, including being the primary record manager for the city. That includes records such as resolutions, minutes, contracts, maintaining the code of ordinances, and a variety of other things. Processing and issuing various permits and licenses, such as dog licenses, business licenses, peddler and solicitor's permits, outdoor dining permits, and massage establishment licenses. The city clerk's office oversees the administration of all elections, both local, state, and federal for the city. I serve as the clerk for city council, the recording secretary for the liquor license review committee, recording secretary for the board and commission selection committee. I serve as the chairperson of the election commission. I'm the primary FOIA coordinator for the city. The police department. Yes. The police department also has their own FOIA coordinator, so anything that pertains to the police is handed off to their coordinator, just because they have certain lien certification and, different discretionary rules that I don't necessarily have to follow with or deal with my requests. And then I also oversee the receipting and cash handling primarily for the city. There are various other front desk clerks that also do handle cash, but Leon is primarily the cash handler for the city. My department has 2 employees, 2 full-time employees, including myself, and 71% of our departmental costs are personnel related. And I guess of note also, we don't have a deputy clerk anymore, so you did see a reduction due to that as well.
You're doing the 2 for Joe. Great. And a note came up here on grants as you're transitioning, and Justin will bring us up to speed on life. I think major grants was about 17.3 million. I've just looked back. That's not all the little grants we get for equipment, what have you. So that 4 point something for this year would be okay. That's over the last few years, and Sandy's the only one that knows exactly where we register them all. But yeah, so that made sense. The $4 to $5 million in the past 12 months would make sense with the 17 that we've had over the last 2.5, 3, maybe going into 4 years. Good.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, you bet.
Congrats on the continued progress to the certified municipal clerk certification.
Yes, indeed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So Community Development has a few divisions, planning and zoning. We review and process rezoning requests, site plan applications, special land use permits, variance applications. We serve as staff to the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Historic District Commission. Also support council when items come to council resulting from any of these divisions. We also are tasked with reviewing and updating the code of ordinances, the zoning ordinance. You've seen a lot of that's recently at council meetings. We have code enforcement within the division, or within the department, and we try to work as collaboratively as possible to resolve code violations. The building department falls under community development. That's a special revenue fund. So any revenue generated or collected by the building department is restricted to the operation of the department or the construction board of appeals. The community development department has 3.1 full-time equivalent staff currently. That 0.1 is a half-time shared position with the police department for parking and code enforcement. So parking falls under the police department. Code enforcement falls under community development. It's about 6 hours a week for code enforcement, and the rest of it is parking enforcement. We are in your budget document, it shows reevaluating the building official position and the amount of time established for that position. So we may see a different allocation of time for 2027. The building official currently does all the electrical inspections for the city, so we don't have a third-party contractor doing electrical inspections right now, so that is a savings. The other trades inspections and building inspections are done by third-party independent contractors. And we do have 5 of them reporting to community development. So you have that 3.1 plus 5 independent contractors working with the department. A change for the planning and zoning budget for next year, there is an increase of approximately 18%, but that is for the master plan update. So we're budgeting 35% or $35,000 in fiscal year 27, 30,000 in fiscal year 28 for master plan update. Glad to answer any questions.
You notice on the Downs development, we don't have any contractual services forecasted going forward. Is that because it's net with what's paid by the developer?
So I believe we decided not to budget for development projects, even though they do fall within the department. All of the expenditures are reimbursed by the developer.
Okay.
So it is hard to forecast that, but it is a net. Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And so, your building department, it was on page 64. The building official position is planned to return to a part-time in January 2027, which is this fiscal year.
Correct.
Not this one we're in, one we're looking at. So it'd be next January. But if you're looking at some dollars, there'd be what I heard you say. I just want to make sure I heard it right. The building official would go to a 0.5, but you're just reflecting the full-time, which is what it is right now.
Correct.
Even though that will change.
Because we're still reevaluating the responsibilities of the position right now. The current staff person filling that position is doing electrical inspections where that may change in the future.
Right. So even if that person still did electrical, because other, the mechanical, the other inspections, building inspections, they're all contracted out. So they just show up differently, correct?
That's correct.
So the electrical could feasibly go into that category. Okay. I'm just trying to.
I just want to slow down to thank you. If you think about Norfolk a couple of years ago, we didn't have a full-time planner. We didn't have a code enforcement person. We didn't have an inspector going out there. We didn't have I never get the thing right, a director of strategy and special projects. We have come so far because we have so many things going on. Appreciate your time and energy every day. There's so many things going on in the city, but just the time and activities you're involved with from early in the morning to late at night. But if you look around in the team has changed a little bit because we have 12 major initiatives all at the same time, and you're all involved. So I just want to say, appreciate that besides updating, ordinances that are 100 years old and one at a time, besides doing the day-to-day. Appreciate what you're doing. And Michaela has hit the ground running on that too. We have so many things going on and you're doing an outstanding job. We had a clerk, but we didn't have these people. So you're doing an absolutely outstanding job on that. But thank you, Justin, and Wendy,
That's,
we spend quality time, I almost have that strategic title right in my mind for you. But
And
thank
one more thing I'll mention about the building official is that, we knew that we were getting a building official for more hours than we thought we needed because we had the Downs oversight and operation, and we wanted to make sure we had somebody who is very familiar with construction, can oversee to make sure that the construction of the Downs is not causing a nuisance or frustration for people around them, everything from starting early before 7 to noise or to making sure that these sort of issues are being addressed. So I think our expectation was as the project starts to get more fully built out, that the building official, the amount of time we need would increase. So we're just monitoring that and making decisions as we go. And that was one of the reasons to move the electrical inspection into the existing position was we thought that the overall ability, the time amount the person had was such that they could pick up more other opportunities.
Absolutely.
Because there's less work doing the Downs.
well, and I want to reinforce and just elevate what the mayor said about the sea change,
Yeah.
particularly in planning, community development. I mean, just HDC, you name it. I mean, Justin, it's a sea change from what we had before. Contracted services are what they are. They were quality personnel, but they weren't dedicated to our city. And I think you've paid for yourself. Same goes for Wendy with her grant writing skills and management of so much. It is so different from 4 years ago. And thinking back 6 years,
Yes.
I mean, we spent 2 years banging our head against the wall that there wasn't adequate staff. Oh, well, this can happen. And then, of course, it wasn't, those contracted staff weren't cheap. They added up. It was just buried in the budget. And I just see the services, the service delivered to our commissions and the commission members
Outstanding.
is in 3 that Justin's at all the time. It's just huge. And then Wendy's contribution is also, it just so strikingly different from where we're positioned.
Imagine we
even
didn't have
4
those
years ago.
positions before.
Well,
Don't know how we got by.
nothing.
They're contracted out.
Can't do that, can't do that, can't do that.
We are going to name an annual award after Justin.
Okay, we are. Absolutely. Very good. We don't know what it's going to be named yet. But
It's going to be the Justin and Michaela Award.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
want,
Michaela-
Well,
and
think of
Courtney will
how,
get thrown in there too.
quite a team.
We
There's no
want the
question about it.
whole-
Absolutely.
it's,
Rest of the guys have been around too.
I mean,
Yeah, the whole team. Just
yeah, we went from, for example, Riverwalk Task Force basically writing grants and then trying to, move it through, right? Like it just very, very difficult. And that's not who should be doing it. And to where we are now. That doesn't mean you can't get support from other people, but it's somebody requires your professional skill set to make that happen and follow it through. Because just getting the money that's good, but there's a lot of work after that. So I know, I just appreciate it immensely.
Absolutely. Alan, are you up? We love Alan too, just because he was here before. It's okay.
It's very hard to follow, just so you're aware.
You set the world record. Remember, it was 31 minutes at a meeting. You're going to be sitting right here pretty soon again. So go right ahead. Oh,
I'm not going to be here, I guess.
oh yeah. It's Anne's birthday Monday.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
I
one,
think Danny
Aaron.
did this on purpose to me tonight, had me follow Justin.
Yeah, that's good. Mhm.
We'll see how it goes.
Sure.
All right, well, the police department provides 24/7 police services to the city. These services include traffic enforcement, enforcement of local ordinances and state laws and criminal investigations. The department is accredited through the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. A minimum of 2 police officers patrol the city 24 hours a day. The department is currently on 12-hour shifts. The department has a total of 14 certified police officers on staff. This is broken down to include a chief, captain, 3 sergeants, 7 patrol officers, 1 detective, and 1 school safety administrator. We also have 1 non-sword administrative records coordinator as well. The school crossing guards that keep our children safe are also employed and managed by the police department. The department also shares a part-time parking and code enforcement officer with community development. Dispatch and lockup services are contracted through and provided by Northville Township. The police department shares a police clinician with the city of Plymouth and Northville Township. This police clinician is employed through Higera Health and is contracted to our departments. This position is currently grant funded. And currently the grant was approved for this year, but the funding has not been released yet for that. So that we may have an MOU coming to council to continue that position if the grant funds are not
For FY 27,
for this year.
this upcoming.
Every year right now, 20.
You have been paid for that.
Really?
Yeah.
We've been approved for the grant for this year, for this
Wow.
calendar year, but for what's ever going on at state or federal level.
We might have to fund it for a little bit. Okay.
Too.
Wow.
So we're hoping to get the funds released at some point, hopefully next year as well.
Okay.
So for the upcoming budget year, the police department will be adding 1 additional full-time certified police officer. The additional officer will allow the department to promote an additional sergeant, therefore allowing for patrol supervision on each of the 4 shifts. Additionally, the city and Northville schools will look to continue its relationship by providing a dedicated school safety administrator at Hillside Middle School. The renewal of this contract will be coming to council for renewal and approval in the coming months. I'd be happy to answer any questions council might have.
So I can't let you feel left out. What I hear each and every day for, the dozens and dozens of calls, you're by people's homes and some of the oldies, which are my kind of people, they see you go by sometimes 7 or 8 times a day, which is unbelievable. The service that you and your team provides and the accreditation that you've gone through is one of the few in the state. So no, you are loved by each and every one of the citizens. I mean, it is a difference in the township. It's 1 or 2 times a day. They may go by your house. In the city, it's 7 or 8 times a day. So from that standpoint, I thank you. I thank your folks. And they're talking to everybody. They're part of it. And when we have activities downtown, whether it's with DDA or others, you're part of the community. So I thank you tremendously for what you're doing. So, okay, it's just not all Justin. We appreciate you too. Thank you.
Yeah.
You are amazing, Chief.
Yes.
You are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? For the man, the machine, the legend, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're here all night.
Good job, chief. Good job.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So Chief Samhat with the fire department. The fire department provides fire prevention, fire suppression, public education, EMS to residents, visitors for both the cities of Northville and Plymouth. So the budget, as it's shown here, administration, operations, and then it's split up for Northville only and Plymouth only, depending on staffing. Sometimes the cities request staffing specifically for different events, and those are paid for by the city, and that's what that kind of breakout is for. And then for the employee count, so this is a change from how it's been. Historically, the chief's been the only full-time person, but on the budget going forward, we have a new position. It's listed as the assistant chief. We are in the process of hopefully finalizing, bringing someone on. So that would be 2 full-time members. And then the on-call members, currently we have roughly 50 personnel, which is shown by the 15.8 based on the formula used. Personnel costs are 85% of the fire department budget. Any questions?
So as the chair of the fire department, we spend quality time, I know, every once in a while. I think it's great when we're adding another person as the deputy chief or whatever the title we're going to do. That's shared by us and Plymouth. So it is a great value for the city. It's great value for both to have those two people on one payroll.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I
You gonna take a
appreciate
Saturday
your-
off now?
Right. We're on Zoom, right? I appreciate your flexibility with Plymouth too. So we always have some opportunities and you work through each and every one of them. So I thank you for your patience on that. We've gone through a lot of different meetings and discussions. So thank you for your negotiation skills between
Pleasure.
the two. We have, one area in Northville and the second one over in Plymouth, and we have to make sure equal but different with all. And I think the chief has done an outstanding job doing that too. So
Yeah, the partnership's been
it has.
very beneficial for both cities.
Yes.
It's been working out very well.
Station 1 and 2, they actually get along.
It allows us to do a lot more. It's allowed us to start doing staffing moving forward. So that's been great.
And
Thank you.
it was recommended that we have an assistant chief, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
We have, but,
Mhm.
During the ICMA study.
yeah,
Right. That'll free you up to do the larger managerial type things too,
Yes.
because you're doing it all. Thank
So
you.
I do actually want to mention that Chief does a great job. I mean, he has to run the department, the administration, and then he literally puts the backpack on and the turnout gear and he goes to fire calls and he goes to EMS calls and he monitors the pager at night, which is one of the reasons that it was such, I thought, a little bit too demanding, that we think the assistant chief's a great addition. But the assistant chief will also be somebody who will, be willing and ready to go out and fight fires and respond to calls just like chief does. So we're getting that a little bit of spreading of the responsibilities. So chief is not the only one who's here full time. The assistant chief will be in the same sort of a position as that to respond in emergencies as well. So, but chief does a broad range of activities, including going to fight fires. So
I would imagine that is appreciated by the chief and other members of the Sam Half family.
Yeah, this is
sure.
And even the flexibility, you have been there for 100-year-old birthday parties and things that, the churches and community events. Thank you. And some of your guys come almost for free, to do that. They're giving away the hats. That is a big deal. And even the police, not to leave you out, Alan, on Sunday, it's been a big deal with security lately. We have two different churches that are putting in bollards and they see that the different police officers on Sunday services just come by, stop in for a cup of coffee and a donut. But it's worked out really well, at the Methodist Church. But I've heard, so I get together with the clergy on a quarterly basis. They appreciate that. They do appreciate you. Like Wednesdays at OLV, you're there for them. And some of these churches now have a full-time security team. It's a sad thing that we have to do this, but our security, our police officers are there for them. So I thank you. I see them at 2 or 3 different churches on a Sunday, just there for a little bit to see if there's anything going on. So thank you for that. I've heard from 3 of the ministers in town. I'm supposed to be thanking you. I'm seeing them next week all together, but I'm sure they'll thank you again. So
Chief, one quick question. First off, it's amazing that we look at a cost structure of 1.5 with a reimburse of $1 million. A net of 500,000 is absolutely incredible. But I was a little surprised that the city of Plymouth contribution actually went up from 61 to 62. And I was just curious, with the downs coming in and new residents coming in, do we anticipate Northville having a larger share of that going forward just with population changes, or is that being offset by growth over?
Yes, I'd say there'd be a slight fluctuation there. But with the type of buildings going in, it wouldn't be anything significant.
Okay. And then is there any plan or expectations from a capital standpoint that we would have to look at new trucks or vehicles?
So we
that
do
would be
have
built in?
a truck up for replacement, and that is something that's being considered, yes, with all the development, the different
I
types of
didn't know
buildings
with,
going.
yeah,
in.
with building height, if that changes what the requirements are for our fleet, but just so we're planning that ahead.
So, yeah, so we are
I'm sure you
considering it. We don't have to change what we have structure-wise as far as what vehicles we have currently, because we do have great mutual aid partners.
There we go.
We are surrounded by quite a few departments that have aerial trucks. But we are looking at at the different options.
Can I reinforce something you said is we have quite a few partners with aerial trucks?
Yes.
Because there was concern at one time that if there was a train over at Northville Road, that the truck couldn't come. But you also have Novi and other places that you don't have a single point failure because of the relationships that
Bonia.
that you. So I don't know if the whole community knows that, but it's worth saying.
Yes, and actually even Northville Township, which is who we sold our truck to, they do have actually an aerial truck at both of their stations. Not currently running, they have one in the shop, I believe, but they do have two aerial trucks.
And we actually got, I think I had to text during a meeting when somebody was asking us that. It is closer than it's ever been because it
Right.
was in Plymouth. So our insurance went down. It can go through the viaduct by the railroad track, even if there was a train coming down. It is a benefit, a win-win for the city. Closer, we sold it, and we get the insurance money, a discount on it. So, and we have great partners with the township. We're hand in hand with them and with the Conference of Western Wayne. Everybody's all around us and ready to go. But yeah, we have actually two aerial trucks closer than they've ever been here.
And since Plymouth, that was who we shared
Right.
that aerial truck with, they also have those partners.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't think people realize where it was parked.
I know.
Yeah.
And that the township now has two. I mean,
Right.
no
And
one's
the
not.
Frequency they use them, and like we said, we do have the benefit of being surrounded by pretty much every other department having one.
Yeah, and
So now we're just taking advantage.
And one of their aerial trucks is parked at a location that doesn't have to deal with the train crossing.
Correct.
Right.
So
That's correct. We had two stations over in Plymouth, one on one side of the tracks, one on the other side.
Right.
so-
All these things, but, and when we talk about the fire department, it's the two together. It is the two together that the chief oversees, and that formula that you talked about earlier. It's over in Plymouth, we have more EMS calls, there's more senior centers and what have you. So the formula is not going to change much, even with the downs, if it's fully built out, because it's a formula on the amount of calls and the EMS calls versus the fire calls and what have you too. So correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct.
And you didn't mention it, but aren't you also the fire marshal?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do, Matt. Who's next?
I'm going to do this next slide briefly. This is just some other expenditures that don't fall directly under a specific department head. We have a small amount for insurance. That is not the full weight of the premiums that we pay to MMRMA. They are spread amongst multiple funds. This is just the portion in the general fund. Central supplies, again, that's just administrative supplies. Excuse me. There's supplies interspersed throughout other funds as well. Shared services, the 397,000, that is the contribution to Northville Township for Parks Recreation, Youth Network, seniors. And now that's going to also include Farmers Market contribution as well. The operating transfers are mostly due to other funds for capital and project needs, a little bit of operations and debt, but primarily for capital. That's about $1 million. And then the contingency, as George had mentioned earlier, is 450,000. 300 of it is earmarked for roads if it is required. And then 150,000 is just for unforeseen expenditures that could crop up during the year.
Great. Questions for Sandy? Good. Now is Mike up. Tell us about all those roads.
Yes, thank you. So the DPW manages and maintains the city's infrastructure, including our local streets and major streets, sidewalks, trees, our water infrastructure, sanitary and storm sewers. Cemeteries also provide the utility billing to our residents and business owners. And then we also help support our other departments. DPW has currently 11 employees, including myself and our admin Gloria, which most of y'all know. We have a total of 7 current staff members out in the field. We have 1 vacant position that is currently posted and hopefully we can fill soon. The overall DPW budget, you can see, is a big portion of the city's complete budget. This includes a portion of the general fund, which we've explained already, cemetery, special events, new tree plantings, and building grounds for city hall and open space.
Sure.
It also includes the major and local streets. And then in our parking system, we have our now 3 enterprise accounts, which is water and sewer, which are now separated, and then your solid waste. The last fund that we have is our equipment fund, which is a self-sustaining fund, which covers our DPW yard and our equipment down there, and that we use on a daily basis. This fiscal year 2027, some of the key capital improvements we've already gone over. I'll kind of go back over 1.04 miles of streets. We'll also be doing 1.16 miles of water main. We'll be installing many new water valves, hydrants, replacing dozens of lead service lines. And the one big key thing is our equipment fund. We have spent lots of money in the last few years on big items. So this year we're proposing just a smaller item, just a lawnmower replacement that's over 20 years old, and try to build up that fund balance for future larger expense. So I can answer any questions you have on that, or I can jump into the enterprise.
Just one question on your equipment fund. In the near future, we're trying to put money aside, month by month, year by year. What is your next major expenses? We were very fortunate. We got a truck
Right.
from another municipality, which was almost new, and it's worked out really well for us. What is your next expense? And as John would say, do we have enough money
Yes.
in that, for that opportunity, whether it's a plow truck or a dump truck or something? I didn't mean to jump in. You usually ask that question, but I see it staring at me on your equipment fund.
Yep.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yep. So we got a plow truck scheduled for the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Not a used one like we just recently had to purchase on an emergency purchase.
It was a great one.
But a new truck of that type ranges, depending on the options that we want, it can run from 250 to 300,000 for a brand new truck.
Right. Okay.
And then moving forward, we have in the budget to replace another one a few more years out, which is another large expense. We have a loader also in a 6-year plan, which is another large expense.
So that your 500,000 is 2 trucks maybe in the.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Good. I feel good. Other questions for Mike?
Yeah,
before you
Mayor,
get back to the detail?
Mike, on cemetery maintenance, do you, and then this cycle, I thought you had 50,000 going towards was it the garage at Rural Hill? Is that right? Or is that under a different line item?
So we had that in as an unfunded balance.
Okay,
It's
so
currently
that's-
still unfunded.
Okay, that's unfunded,
It was about 30,000.
30,000. And then
Yep.
we have that, for lack of a better word, that cemetery annuity that we get the interest off of 40 to 50,000 a year, whatever it is. Well, what is that going to be dedicated to in the next fiscal year?
Well, I'm hopefully just build up for future capital.
That's the build
improvements.
up. Okay.
So we'll take a look and see. Like I said, and the budget I have for a new maintenance garage up there. But we're kind of out of space up there anyways. And some people are leaning towards, cremation burials, which we can lean towards like columbariums. We have space for those. So if I have to derail the garage to maybe put in some more columbariums.
First 2 of.
Yep, the first 2 are still open and available. We still have plenty of spaces, but we are leaning towards quite a few spaces, not a whole lot of spaces available. Our biggest problem is we have families that want large sections of plots. So they want to come in and buy anywhere from 5 to 10 plots together. And unfortunately, we do not have that. So I can get you a 2 to 3 together. But the larger plots, the bigger family ones, I can't. So
How many plots do we have left up there, Paul?
in our newest section up there in 44, we probably have around 30 plots left.
Okay.
But throughout the rest of the cemetery, we do have quite a bit.
Right.
Most of them are buybacks that we bought from
Right.
residents or families. A lot of them are single plots. I do have a few areas that are double or like double plots. But what we're a little unique in our cemetery, what we allow in one standard plot is a lot different than most cemeteries. We allow 1 standard burial and up to 4 cremations. So
So you could have
you
a
can
family
fit
of five.
technically a family of five in one plot, yes.
Understood.
So,
So you probably know I'm going to go on some of the next stuff here, so we'll just
Yeah.
put that out on the record. So end of last year, the Cemetery Renewal Task Force came in talking about the fence. The fence is well on its way, and then into the gateway and the arch for Oakwood in the front. They're going to be going, and council, unless I put words in anybody's mouth, supported the improvements that were presented there. The fence is in progress. Wendy's doing great work. We'll name an award after her for that, I'm sure, at some point.
Small statue.
The gate and arch is going to go to Historic District for their approval next month, but right now it is unfunded, if I understand correctly, based on where I was probing. So this is more of a general appeal to council that we'll want to take a look at when that opportunity comes forward, how we would want to manage that as one of the unfunded capital projects that we do have in our budget. But
Sure.
in the past, the council did support that work.
Right.
Well, and
And then also one other part was over the next couple of years, if we can continue to find ways to support stabilizing Oakland after, let's say, years of decay. And you can see that there's significant improvement over that, but if there's a way we can work in even some of the stone repair, maybe some of the other minor capital improvements just to stabilize over the next few years, I'm in full support, and I think that those grounds need it because they just have not been sufficient or representing what we need to put forward on our best foot out
yeah,
there.
and specifically, I have a related area of concern. And we see how, if you're going by or even just walking past, you can see that dramatic improvement. And, some of it's the stone cleaning we've got volunteers trained in that. That's great. But there's also many that those stones were stitched back together on a prayer. I mean, they were some cracked in multiple pieces, many just two. And that looks great. So those people that have a front row, those buried people that have front row seats are good. And, close. But there are many more. I was able to see slides and information in terms of ones they've identified, because, some of them were partially buried, the slabs that were broken off. So I think it isn't just for what looks good from the roadway. I think we need to continue that effort in terms of those stones that are identified, broken, we know where they go, we get them upright. The thing with getting them upright is that requires special skills and special equipment. And that's was used for to date. So I don't know if there could be an estimate put together, but I am very much in favor, see how much we can get in the next couple of years done, the task, that by that skill set to get those set. The volunteers are wonderful in cleaning, but they cannot do that work. And we have sufficient money to do that. It's not a lot. I don't know how much was the expenditure last year. that.
Give or take is about 10,000, but
Yeah.
we're going through and so to reinforce, and I'm co-signing everything you say, it's a stabilizing action on these stones. Is once they're repaired, they will be stable for a very long time. So this is a kind of a short duration request.
Yeah, and also looking at ones that look like they're standing, but they're ready to go over.
Yeah.
One of the things that was very telling is I think it was in the Genealogical Society, they had taken pictures a number of years ago and the stones were okay. And just only in a matter of 6-7 years, they were cracked because they were near that point, and we may have some of those. So it's short term, but I think we make the investment now because it's looked at like, oh, it might be 8 or 10,000. And I don't know that it's 10,000 because they did a lot last year.
Yeah.
But whatever it may be, 5 to 10,000, it's money that we did not spend for decades. And it's certainly within that interest, well below. I mean, it's maybe we're getting about $49,000 in interest if we allocate 8 to 10 per year for the next couple of years. It's still not putting a dent in it, but it's doing a service to all those people that are buried.
I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of council, but the impact on that spend is significant.
Well, it's
There's
just
no question from my standpoint, as one that started the cemetery restoration, it's a public-private partnership. doing an outstanding job. We trimmed all the trees, $28,000 worth of tree trimming. You're doing the wrought iron fence. You've cleaned up the place. The private is, we theoretically can't touch the individual stones. So there's been 12 to 13 individuals that have paid between $3,000 and $5,000 for that heavy lifting work and the whole bit. I'm running out of friends to ask for this, but that is something that has been a great partnership. And I thank you for your flexibility. We have somebody providing chemicals and, another company providing other things, and you providing, the services, sometimes the manpower. We even had some trees wrapped around the roots, wrapped around tombstones. It's almost unbelievable, and, moved all around.
He actually found a headstone.
Yeah, found a headstone underneath the tree roots that they're trying to cut through right now. But thank you for that. I mean, if you haven't been over to this cemetery, spectacular. That will be one of the stops in the bicentennial because we are bringing it to life. Mike and the partnership and the leadership of Andrew, it's come a long way. I mean, from all the stones being broken up and underground and blackened. So thank you for that. Is it going to be perfect? No. We're going to touch every stone in there? Absolutely. We have 30 to 40 volunteers that are cleaning. This is not power washing. Everyone is different. Marble, granite, field stones, that. Everyone is a different process. Thank you for bearing with, when they can go out there, and we're getting as much input to clean things by sports teams. I know DDA's been involved and others.
Lacrosse
Huge amount. Lacrosse was there with
We're going to be
100
there
folks.
this Sunday in Roll Hill and Oakwood.
Yep. So thank you, because you're coordinating all those different things. It is, everything we're doing in town is kind of a public partnership with private individuals and private companies. So thank you for your flexibility over the last 3 or 4 years.
I want to highlight that too. I know, Mike, I was asking you a few questions, but the feedback that I get from the residents who are doing that work, they say you are exceptional to work with. And I just want everybody in the room to hear that, that what you do, the work with the trees and how you found those stones that were embedded in the trees and then working to get the stones out of the way, everything that they've asked for. And oftentimes, we're quite demanding. You've been patient and prompt, and I think we're very fortunate to have you in the role that you're in.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to come back and focus because I do believe that, if you think of the number of volunteer hours that have gone into this, it's huge. And that is a private partnership. These people are not getting paid. But when you look to the cemetery fund, this is on page 60 of our budget. I don't think you see it anywhere else. It says here, the intent, so Cemetery Renewal Task Force, leading restoration efforts, yes. As volunteers, right? And to the extent they get donations, that's set up. But it says here, the intent is for the task force to secure donations to fund further improvements. I fundamentally disagree with that statement. The intent is for the task force to help secure donations, or just say to secure donations to help fund. And I believe they are doing that, but it is not the responsibility of the task force. Like, oh, we can't clean more, we can't restore more stones because we haven't raised enough money. There are many competing demands right now. And there's a big one doing a huge ask in our community right now. So having people also ask to do any heavy lifting donations there's competing priorities. Plus, it is ours, and I know this is a broad policy. It's not your decision here, but Mike, but this is the city's responsibility. This is a perpetual care and a historic cemetery, designated historic. So I do think the task force is wonderful to have that, and Mayor, thank you so much for bringing all this to light.
We gotta get to the next level now.
Yeah, but it is to help fund. It is not their responsibility to fund this. And I don't know how council feels about that, but that's a change in the cemetery fund language in the second paragraph, last sentence in our budget.
I support that. Agree.
Okay, so, and then can we look to at least, because this is looked at every year, at least a recognition over the fiscal year 27 and fiscal year 28. So that gets us the 2 years to allocate some money and you could work with whoever, Dave Merrill, to find out what stones they've identified, right? That, and because they can't do it all at once either, right? For those next 2 years, for the stones, getting them upright, right? And in place, that part of it. And I don't, this is how I feel about this. And particularly with the bicentennial coming up, respecting those that are buried there seems timely. And so that's where I'm at.
Good point.
Well put.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, but I don't know how everyone else feels.
We're
I
not
don't think there's
gonna solve it
anything
today.
controversial at all. I'd agree.
Well, but it's different than, it's the task force supposed to find the money.
We have to
saying,
make sure it's perpetual in the future. We will get it to a point and we have to make sure it's funded as we go.
Oh, I mean, after that, once these stones are repaired that are identified, and we probably will find others, they'll find others along the way, then it's just annually looking at them, are the ones that are getting deteriorated that need some minor repair to keep them from getting cracked. So I think we're just in catch-up mode, or they are. I say we, I'm not on the cemetery task force, but it's just amazing. The transformation, and respect for that cemetery.
Thank you for your flexibility on that.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Patience.
If I can just interject something before Mike continues on regarding the cemetery maintenance, just to clarify one thing on this slide. The cemetery maintenance does show 0. That is actually the cemetery fund, specifically not maintenance, which is in the general fund. And you had mentioned the gates and the archway. The reason that's not shown there is because it is budgeted for this fiscal year.
Which is through June,
This one, right?
right?
Yes.
The gate and arch are new.
So we'll be asking again in July.
The plan is to go out to bid for both.
Right, yeah. We had earmarked.
Bid it within the 50,000.
And half will be paid for in this year's budget, and half will be.
But has
So there's
the funding
50
source been identified for the gate as well?
Well, we're hoping that the defense and the gate will fit within that 50,000.
You think, so we're not doing the gate that's in the design standards for the city? Because that one's more. I did the per foot cost and was like, oh.
So I think wherever this lands, like the mayor said, we won't solve it here, but we did have the 50,000 earmarked for the capital improvement in the front. Mike and his expertise thinks if we work together on it, there's gonna be a value associated with it. It may or may not be under 50. If it's more, then I'm sure we'll be back in
We can
here.
worry
asking
We're
about
making great strides. You see support here. We'll have to see where we get financial means to support the whole.
And just as a last unrelated, but mirroring in terms of the cemetery task force, the tree champions, you have been a great asset to them too, as they've identified items with trees that needed care or maintenance, helping them identify areas where trees need to be watered, where they actually can help DPW. And for meetings I've attended, they've got a lot of praise for your help
They
with
helped
that.
me find and locate new places for new
Right.
trees as well, so.
So
Pretty
thanks for
serious,
that.
serious group. Good. Anything else for Mike? Are you going on to more?
I got another slide.
Please go.
Anything else with the just
I
general?
got 20 more
Published.
questions.
All right. The next slide is our enterprise funds. This is showing the increases that are proposed for our solid waste and our water and sewer. You can see with the residential solid waste, we're looking at a 3.8 increase. Our commercial, about 10% increase. Water 7, sewer 0, and then our ready to serve fees for our capital and our general maintenance. The 7 for the water and 3.5 for the sewer. Most of these are just due to our contractual contracts with our suppliers or our haulers when it comes to trash and solid waste. Like I said, water and sewer, we have an increase from Great Lakes Water. A lot of it's a fixed rate. So those are everything that's varied into these rate increases. I can answer any questions and Sandy can also help.
I think I'm good. Again, I thank you on the cemetery thing, just to go back. And we didn't mention Dave Merrill has been the chair with Andrew. It's a cooperation has been great and everybody wants to help. We have 7% of all our citizens on some committee. Some of our on this 35 to 40 are cleaning those stones, and that's always an opportunity to schedule everybody too. But thank you for your flexibility. I thank you, David Merrill and Andrew, for that. Thank you.
And one is that, because if somebody looks at this, they say, this is higher than the rate of inflation. Why do we have to do this? But I think this also includes our gradual step increases.
Does, yep.
So important. So it's not like that was, rather than giving everybody that increase all at once, let's do it gradually over years. But in addition to that, you've got inflation there as
Danny
well.
can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when we proposed to council, the water was going, we were proposing like almost a 10% every year. And we're showing us 7%. Yeah. Great. Right.
Yeah. So it's a planned increase over time to
So we have-
reduce the shock. So.
Excellent. Any other questions for Mike? It's all yours. Great. Alan Terrace, getting that 2-bedroom ready for me, right? Okay, good. Good, good. The man cave, you know, I want to escape. from that.
Yes.
Yes, I know, the man cave.
You were told
I
you
qualify, you know.
can't do that,
I
Brian.
know, I know.
Allen Terrace, as you all know, is our senior apartment building that holds 98 one-bedroom apartments, 2 2-bedroom.
Yes.
And we try to keep the rents low. That was the goal of it when it was built in 1978. Currently, they're $832, but we're looking at increasing them in fiscal year 2027 will be $847, and the 2 bedrooms will be $1,250, which is still very much lower than anything in the area, especially with all our updates and everything
Absolutely.
that we've been doing the last few years. Some of our 26 accomplishments included our elevator modification finally, our fencing on the east and the south side of the property, our pavilion, seal coating the parking lot, installing gutter tape and gutter guards, new carpet and paint and furniture throughout the building. So we're really changing things up. And before the end of the year, we're still going to add new ceiling tiles and update all 4 bathrooms. Common area bathrooms and the elevator floor. So we're hoping that will be done. Then we're looking for next year, including replacing the refrigerators and the stoves as needed and a new generator. And if I'm lucky, we'll receive another grant and hopefully replace the windows, but I don't have word on that yet. They said about May 1st, I should know. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We have 3.7 employees, one including myself, the director. I have 2 full-time maintenance employees, and Mary, my assistant, is the 0.7. Our housing commission, or most of our funds are about, our department costs are 34%. And then the rest goes for just running the show and all our little projects. Is there any questions?
Again, I'll start like normal. Thank you. I know my parents were part of this in the late 70s. Aging in place, that was the concept of it. And I kid, I guess, I think I'm number 1 on the list. I have 65 years experience in Northville, so I think I'm official, so I'm not pushing. My wife will never let me, but I like that. Appreciate all the stuff you've done just in the last couple of years. All of us have gone up there for different meetings. You've revised everything in the whole environment up there, from the meeting area where you come in to the workout area to, we got a grant to do the computers in your computer center, your business center. And you're replacing a lot of things in each and every one of those. So I think all the things that need to be done, you're part of the team. That's Northville, and they expect that. And we've brought them up to a standard that I think is outstanding. And John represents us up there. They love John up there. But from that standpoint, we are doing what we said we would do. We are giving them a professional, a quality place to live, you know, as they get older, to age in place. So.
In my 3.5 years, we made a list and we've done 34 projects so far with 6 on the horizon.
It's a great
It's
plan.
unbelievable.
Investment plan's just wonderful.
And you hear them from everybody, and I'd love to know your input. They're happy because we are doing the things that you have promised and John has promised, and it is great to hear from this. Sometimes it's a great opportunity to have a senior center. It is a great blessing that we have in the city, the way we're handling it. So but from my standpoint, I thank you. And John's kind of the expert on this.
No, I don't really feel the need to pile on. I know we've talked about this a lot. I thank you for everything you've done. The biggest thing I would highlight is just the sense of community up there
Oh, yeah.
is fantastic. And a lot of it is some difficult conversations were had a few years back where we actually did have conversations around raising rent in order to make investments in the building and then delivered on those investments. And it's just it's incredibly positive, especially when you compare it to how it was even a few years ago. So it's wonderful. The other thing I will highlight that isn't in Housing Commission, but there were cheers for us repairing that culvert on High Street as
Yeah.
well. So
Oh, just-
Great.
Yeah, that was good
funded. It's
news.
happening. It is there. It's
And
$1,600,000.
and I appreciate everyone being involved in that. I know
Not sexy, but it's very important. to
a
them.
lot of people rally to support those wonderful individuals and members of our community. So
Yeah.
appreciate all that
Great.
you do.
And going back nostalgically to 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Yeah.
it was, you have changed, you've helped really with the culture of, that feeling of community was always there, but it wasn't nurtured. And, but it used to be a can't and don't culture from the top down, and you have changed it. Doesn't mean you don't have tough conversations with people. You do, but you do it with such great respect that it's just overall well received. And it just, having lived through it, having served as the liaison for the Housing Commission and was in the middle of some of that stuff, I was like hair on fire. I couldn't even believe, even sitting in on the meetings, what was going on. And it's just totally different.
We thank you.
Georgia looks forward to everything.
Yeah. So no, here, we had, I
People
called
are
it
still
when
there.
Barbara was there too. We had trash gate, I wrote down,
Oh.
elevator gate. I'm looking.
They're all haters, anybody?
Restroom gate,
They're all
the boiler
haters.
gate. I mean, it was unique and exciting. We have fixed all those different things. We did. I mean, I had to go up there and see what they were
Oh, it
talking
was-
about. And the board, and you've done fabulous,
That new outdoor
relationship
pavilion
with
area.
them. And it's us together, kind of like the team here. But before, it was unique and exciting. It was. I think Barbara and I were walking around looking at all these
It was,
gates, trash gate,
And I
boiler
am-
gate, every gate.
I am not exaggerating. I'm actually being very subdued about it. It is the things that happen.
So good. Thank you. Thank
But
you
the
so
people have always, the residents,
Thank you for keeping.
the
it
same,
very
right? It's
happy.
wonderful.
We continue to do whatever we can. Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
I'm the alternate.
Thank you, Laura.
You're the alternate.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you.
I don't
No, thank you.
I am the
Yeah,
better.
Thank both of you. Okay, who's next up on the docket of light? DDA. Nothing about Farmington.
They don't do a tunnel in Northville? Yes.
Good.
So the DDA is a quasi-governmental body, and we're a subsidiary unit of the city. So we have a separate budget, but we all work together and we maximize, get way more done that way. We are here to revitalize, maintain, and manage the central business district. So I did a little research, and you all know that the DDA is the oldest one in Michigan. So it started in 1978, the same year Allen Terrace was built. So big year for Northville. We are a catalyst for investment through a variety of roles. We do infrastructure improvements, such as the ones you're seeing downtown this week. We can fund and oversee large scale projects, streetscaping, construction, sidewalk repairs, lighting installation, economic support and incentives. The typical formula is that for every DDA dollar, you usually see $5 to $7 in private investment for that public outlay. So that's a pretty nice economic development tool. We work on business recruitment and retention. We actively work to attract new businesses and support the ones we have. We want to keep downtown healthy and viable. We have a prosperity agenda, and we're the front porch of the city. And as such, we do a lot of beautification and marketing. So we manage efforts like seasonal floral plantings and seasonal decorations like skeletons and more. We do social media promotions to establish a distinctive brand for the district. I feel very lucky to have our communications staff and Courtney O'Hara. So while we contribute 0.25% of that funding, I think we like to say we are using 0.75. Is this a bad time to tell
Nope.
George? Yes.
You keep talking.
I think he knows, but we are getting a lot done. So we're punching above our weight with that. And we do some event coordination. And most of that is specifically to drive foot traffic into the downtown. So this year, you can see that our budget has grown slightly. Because this is for the next fiscal year, it doesn't reflect the large infusion we had with the $1 million loan for the city. We were able to do some terrific capital projects this year, which we will have finished by the beginning of this next fiscal year in time for a next large our next large grant. In partnership with a loan from the city, we'll be doing a Katy connection.
Right.
So we're starting, finishing this year, and then starting another big capital project next year.
We'll finish Main Street by the 5th of June,
That's
correct?
the plan.
Okay,
That's the
good.
plan. They're making great
Good.
progress down
Glad to
there.
hear it.
So our employee count structure has changed just slightly this year over last year, and we've hired fully. We're ready to go. We'll have everyone on staff and we'll start training on May 1st in time for the busiest season.
Good.
That includes a maintenance foreman. So we have so much traffic downtown throughout the year that we're looking at staffing through the weekend and balancing that with 3 part-time seasonals who all know how to identify weeds. Will be terrific. Looking forward to a great summer.
Identify those weeds. Good.
That's it. Any questions?
Thank you. You have been part of, I talk about the team. It's all about the team. We push you, seems like you've been here forever because we've done so many things, but we are pushing the envelope in everything, whether it's DDA or in the different departments we've talked so far. All the things, we have 12 major events and you're part of all those things. Most cities have one major initiative, one activity. We're looking at them all, looking for our 2027 deal. Thank you for your cooperation working city with the chamber, DDA. That was an opportunity, not too long ago. And you've gone into the role with you and your team and, been part of everything, the success. So I'm pleased on being on your board. I'm being on the board there and dealing with the DDA through chamber and the city. So thank you for all you've brought. I don't ever want to hear about Farmington winning a national thing, but that'll be Northville in the future. But I'm kidding. But you did a fabulous job at Farmington. Now it's time to bring it to the next level at Northville because you're a true Northvillian. We thank you for being here, Kate. Thank you.
I appreciate you too, Katie. I like how careful and smart and creative you've been through the whole thing. It's a big part of my life down there. So
yeah.
Let's go.
Great.
I'll highlight one comment I got when you joined the team from a close friend in Farmington was you will constantly challenge, come with creative ideas, and we're going to have to figure out how to fund them because they're going to make the city better. And I love that. I will say having the opportunity to serve on the EDC as well and seeing the ideas constantly coming forward, challenging, thinking of how we can continue to invest in one of our most critical assets, which is our downtown business core, is having a noticeable impact on our community. And so thank you for everything you're doing.
As you say, it's our
Keep
front
pushing,
porch.
and not every time, but as much as we can, we'll find the funds.
Yeah, we'll knock down those hurdles. You just keep rolling through.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'd just like 2 things is, many of these projects, both that occurred already in 25 and certainly, in high gear in 26, they've been sitting in idle for a number of years of how do we get this done? And you came in and put metal to the pedal, let's put it that way. And thank you very much for that. The other, which this isn't a cost item, but it helps influence building the team and the execution of goals in the long run, is bringing Northville into the Main Street program, where you might get an award in the future. So that you kick that off in 25. And I really look forward to seeing how that evolves in the future and bringing that DDA board onto that as well as a team. So thank you.
Great.
Yeah, every business owner I've talked to, they love your clarity, direction. You said it, it's our front porch and there's no one better to be in charge of it. So
Great front porch you have there.
Thank you.
Keep it looking good. Excellent. Who's next on the docket of blood?
That would be me.
Okay.
The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, previously there were two development projects. As you quite aware, we recently terminated the one for Foundry Flask. So the only remaining one is the Downs development. This is primarily set up to capture taxes and reimburse the developer for certain eligible costs. In the coming year, we're going to, it's hard to estimate the amount of captured taxes. It depends on the timing of selling and occupying the homes. So, you know, what you'll see up there is kind of a range of what we're expecting, the high end and the low end. So anywhere between 433,000, 650,000 will be captured. The DDA per the reimbursement agreement with the BRA retains the first 50,000. The city is able to retain up to $100,000 a year in admin fees. And the amount going to the local Brownfield revolving fund is $226,000. That will get us to the full $300,000 that is per the development agreement. So the remaining difference is the amount eligible to be turned over to reimburse the developer. So that's estimated between $137,000 and $354,000. Probably falls somewhere in the middle of that range.
Great.
And that net in fiscal years going out will become much higher.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
just as a natural order of things.
Yep.
And once we have another opportunity or could have an opportunity at Foundry Flask, we will reopen that. Right now it is closed down because of the timing, but we are open to do that in the future. And you have a couple members of the Brownfield right here. And Barbara's done a great job on that. We will be ready for the future when there is an opportunity there. Great. Thank you. Anybody else from council? Super. You got off very easy. Who's next?
Next, be me from now on.
Mine, me.
The Public Improvement Fund. This is primarily the capital improvement fund for everything that doesn't fall within other funds. So a lot of these are, as you can see, the projects listed are projects primarily managed by Wendy at this time. We have about $1.6 million of expenditures planned for next fiscal year. There's a large amount in the current fiscal year too, as projects are, a few of them are wrapping up. This used to be primarily where we deposit our racetrack revenue, but that has gone. So this fund has seen a lot of decreased activity going into the future unless more grants and revenue sources are found for projects. Any questions?
You're very clear. Roll.
Next is debt service. We have two open bond issues. The one for the streets, we approved those bonds in 2018. The last payment due in fiscal year 29, so just a few years left on that. Then last year we issued the $14 million bonds for water improvements. That is a 25-year obligation, so that will go long beyond probably most of us in this room. And then just today we closed on the installment purchase contract for the Vector truck. So we received those funds just this morning.
Oh.
Great.
That is a 7-year payback, which the general fund will be covering to help support the equipment fund.
Are you happy, Mike, for that? Good.
And then there are two internal loans, one they're both from the general fund, one to the water and sewer fund. That was for the water meter replacement program back in, I think this was a 7 or 8 year payback. So the next fiscal year will be the last payments on that one. And then the $1 million loan to the DDA, that is a 5-year payback on that one. And that is the end of the presentation. If there's any more questions or.
I have one, if you can just, if the number's right, I think it was somewhere else in the book, that if you look at our total debt load relative to what the state allows, we're something like 2%. Is that right?
No, we actually went through that today, Sandy and I, in case that question came up. We think the number is about 84 million potential. We have about, I think it was 16 million, we believe, was that what the number was? So we are well under our debt limit, but you know, you never want to get close to the top end anyway, because it's way more than the city can afford. But it's like that calculator when they say, what home mortgage can I afford? And they give you this number that's just all of your money. That's what that number is. So you never really want to go by that too far. But we would probably be considered a relatively low debt city still. But to John's point, we would not really want to go out and test that AAA. And I think at this point, we want to leave it as it
What he
is.
does, that's at the top of your
Yeah.
list of must-dos, but it's just
So we are,
contextually, when you look at these numbers, it's good to look at it and say.
we are about 16 million out of about 84 million potential. So that's where we sit. So with that, if council has any more questions, I know you've had a couple of weeks to look at your budget binder, and if you have with the
And this
presentation.
is really just a working session. You got input from us. There's no motion tonight. This is information. We'll come back, I think, around May 18th or so to approve the budget. And if you have input, I would ask anybody has more input, like we had some discussion on cemetery and other things, you know, just give it to Sandy, give it to George, and we will do any of those revisions and talk through it individually too.
Mine's very quick, but
Okay.
I'm going, Sandy said, bring your budget book, so I did.
Yes.
I just want to go very quickly to capital improvement plan, you know, the longer term 6-year plan. I'm just looking on page 97, a couple, higher level is related to the, on item number 39. I think you might want to check with Derek Smith, but I believe right now the tennis courts, which are unfunded, but as I believe it's going to be before fiscal year 2030. I think
That's the year that Derek gave me,
when did, because we just,
in the past few months.
yeah, I
Unless
don't, because we
something's
just
changed.
talked about it the last, I mean, it's not like because we've tried to get every drop of life out of that thing. But Mayor, you were there too. I'm not saying it's going to be next year, but I think it might, I don't know that it has the life to get that far. So, and leaving it there is okay, but in terms of unfunded, because once the decision is to go forward, we're paying half, township is paying half, but it's really close to end of its useful life. So I don't know we'll get that far. The other is there is important 80, it is on the next page, 98, just at a higher level. The Park Street Bridge, I'm assuming that's the bridge for the second roundabout. That is on the next page.
yeah.
It's item number 86. And thank you, Mayor, for finding funding, to get, for the roundabout itself, or at least getting a lot of that. What really is critical, because of course, what's really needed there is the bridge, with that roundabout. I guess it's known that OHM didn't sharpen their pencil on that $2 million bridge. So I think it's getting close to the time to sharpen the pencil. They focused on estimated cost for that second roundabout, and then there really wasn't close attention to what is the most efficient way to build a bridge that looks fine. And 2 million is likely, we know bridges are expensive, but that's likely high. But they admitted that they didn't really focus on that. So I think it's time to focus.
Right.
So we know what we're really left with.
And we are pushing even as of today with Rosemary Bear's office. She's there until November. She's in charge of water management. We're managing the water underneath that bridge. She's doing everything she can. We had a call from Peter's office today and Debbie Dingle. It is not 100%, but they know that is a need, a want. The stub road is funded coming in on one side from the Downs area. The roundabout is funded on the other end. We have to get the bridge.
Well,
and they know that there's about 5 or 6 conversations today. I'm confident we will get funding. I don't think we'll get 1.8 million, but we might get $1 million.
Well, and here's where it comes. It could turn out that it's still expensive, that
It is
bridge is
expensive.
1.4, right? Well,
I want a bridge like going
it's
into
easier
Will Hill for
begging,
$1.1 million.
yeah, so, and just as the final, and
Get her
there's
done, Mike.
there's nothing we can do about it at this point, but I do worry that we don't have a plan for funding the improvements on our parking deck, but that's just my closing.
That's what I was gonna go is, if I had one thing that we need to work on and focus on, I think everybody here knows it, is our long-term parking funding strategy and maintenance strategies.
Yeah, but that over 2 years in fiscal year 27 and 28, it's
Right.
over $1 million, and we don't know where we're going to find the money.
That's the
So,
one thing where if I was gonna say, looking at this, I feel like we're in great shape, but that's when we have to get people.
yeah,
We do.
yeah.
We've had opportunities through time to parking structures. We didn't really pass the ballots on that. We have 2,200 spots, they tell me, in town. None are very good, according to everybody. You know, we have 18 spots downtown. Everybody wants it. We have spots. We have to use those 2,200 spots around. Yes, it has been a great opportunity. Should we had a parking deck, you know, decades ago? Sure. Do we today? We do not. We'll have to see what we need to do. We've had parking credits, and have we used the parking credits to build something? We have not. We might have to have private public partnerships to get something done. I think there's a lot of moving parts on this. You're right. The autonomous cars are coming a little bit quicker than they ended up here, and we're offsite those cars. It's not going to be as quick as we think. So we actually, this is my opinion as the past chair of the Council of Western Wayne, we don't have as big a parking problem as most, but we have a parking problem. You know, we have spots.
We have a
right
walking
downtown.
problem.
Yeah. So people do not want to walk. They want to be down there, and not everybody can park right in front of their store. I hear it, but so yes, great opportunity.
I want to,
Don't have the answer yet, but great opportunity.
Not, to your point, Mayor, not the creation of spots. I think, we have a very good understanding where it's gonna be maintenance of
Right.
the existing lots, the structures. I want to have at some point planning talk about what we do about parking credits and how that makes sense in the future space. Not because we're not building any more parking spots. So it's something where we kind of pull together what's going to hold that, not so much in generation of spots, and maybe that is a long-term plan, but just the maintenance that we have here.
yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. I wasn't bringing up a new parking deck. We're
Right,
looking at putting, I was saying we need to take care of the decks we have.
We do.
Obviously, the city does too, because it's in our capital improvement plan. We just don't, it's coming up soon. It's, it's only 2 and 3 years away, and that's over $1 million.
The
Yeah.
DDA, public.
So that was, I'm not advocating for an additional parking deck. Take care of the ones we have.
Put some perfume on the pig that we have.
Everything's fine.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Let's get input. Anything else from council members? Anything from
Nope, appreciate the council.
Andrew that's running the entire world that's usually sitting right
Right
here
there,
next
right
to
next
me?
to you. Appreciate council's attention and effort on the budget, all the staff and Sandy for your
Great.
work, and look forward to approved budget on May 18th.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So we'll go to number 7, our sign offs. Again, from my standpoint, you've heard me say a couple times, it's all about the team. I've been very fortunate. 40 years I was in business, running some different corporations. I have never been around such a professional team as here in the city. Each and every one of you, we couldn't do what we're doing in the city without the individual inputs from you and your entire teams. We're making unbelievable strides. I've heard these stories from my grandparents and my parents, things they wanted to do. You're all doing them right now. I mean, for generations, they talked about Ford Field, the Downs, a river, walk. It was approved twice by council. It takes time, energy, and money. We have 7% of all of our citizens involved. We can get it done because a lot of people are doing it. I think Barbara mentioned the first grant that we did, which we were having a little pushback. This is the whole previous generation around here. We brought in 10 of the most intelligent people that I knew to write a grant that first day. Do we have a grant writer? Absolutely not. This was before Wendy. We're so privileged to have Wendy here and stuff to coordinate that, but we did that first grant right here on that table, and we're $17.2 million into all these grants, and Wendy is managing all those things. One of the 12 major initiatives we have would keep us busy all day. We have 12 of those going on. So I thank you. I really do. Each and every one. I know sometimes I kid you a little bit. I am very appreciative. I will do anything I possibly can to knock over barriers for any of you. I think anybody in council would do the same because we see the work and the dedication and what you've done here. So I thank you. And George, I thank you tremendously, you know, and Sandy always keeps me straight on all the numbers. She goes, go get me some more money. So I try every once in a while, you know, I want them to grow some money trees around here, but it's not working. So we are getting there. But thank you from my standpoint. This is the budgetary meeting for the year. It is so much better and so much more exciting than it was in 2019 and 2020.
In a good way.
Because we see the results and where we're doing, and we're working as a team together and the whole personnel. So thank you. For somebody that's getting old and at the end of all this and 40 years in business, and now I'm just the mayor. But it is a great opportunity to work with each and every one of the individuals up here. But you're the ones that are doing the work. So thank you for that. That's all I have for today. Others.
I'll just say, George, thank you for this. This process is yours. It's come a long way, and I'll just say this whole team's a reflection of your leadership, and very fortunate to have you along with everybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just gonna, last night we had the Historic District Commission meeting here. It was their first meeting since Dave Field died, and it was, you know, his wife was here, Amy, and friends and family, as we saw, but hearing the testimonials from each of the commissioners that had worked with him, well, Jim Allen, I mean, it's a long time. I mean, it goes back, it's 20 years. So it was very moving, and he will be missed, so.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief so everybody can enjoy a half day. Brian said it all. Thank you for everything you guys do for this city and this community.
Again, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Seconded?
Support.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.